City, the financial hub of Brazil.
Yeah.
That's it here. Getting things here started. We are going to talk about that. I'm going to introduce myself properly. All right, here we go. You're ready to go. Excellent. All right. Very good. So, first of all, I'd like to thank you for your time being here, having this conversation with us. And I would like to briefly introduce myself. My name is Eliseu. I am one of the clients of Marcelo Toledo, Mr. Marcelo Toledo, and MTV Brazil. I've already been through different process of working abroad, including the USA. I was supposed to be working in Arkansas State, more precisely in Brinkley City, on a farm right there. But unfortunately, I had my American visa refused, so I was not able to go. As well as I was also hired by a Norwegian Cruise Line company, but once again, I had my American visa refused, and so I'm still fighting for that. And so, but that's it's part of the process, We all know all of that, but this is it. I am on my way to success for sure. And secondly, I'd rather like to get started here by talking about you. I was told you've already lived in Brazil. Is that perfect? Is that right? What kind of experience did you have here in Brazil? I mean, socially, culturally, and so forth. So fire away.
Yeah. So I was telling Marcelo that I lived, well, for my church, I served what we call a mission. And so I went down to the eastern part of Brazil. And what we did was you've probably seen they're 19-year-old young men that walk around with their little nameplates on their shirts. And
I got it.
I was one of those guys for 2 years down there. So I was in like Ilhabela. I was there for 3 months. I was in Arujá, which is just outside of Sao Paulo.
Yeah, yes.
Guarulhos, right there at the international airport.
Yes.
There was an area called Braz Cubas, which is over by like Suzano and Poá.
That's it. Mogi das Cruzes. That's right. Wow, interesting.
Yep.
Nice. Okay.
And then São Miguel. That was probably my least favorite area was São Miguel.
Yeah, and
But,
São Miguel is the outskirts of São Paulo City, where you
yep.
have a mixture of poverty as a middle class society, all blended. It's very interesting the experience of yours. It's interesting. It's very nice. Did you have a good time while here in Brazil?
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. I really, really miss the people. I really miss the food. A lot of different.
Oh, yeah, nice.
We can buy like the Antarctica Guaraná up here, and it just brings back all kinds of memories. But
really?
yeah, just can't quite replicate up here in the United States. You just can't quite. It's not.
There's a secret formula of theirs, that they say something like something similar to Coca-Cola formula, where people always try to replicate, but it's not always possible, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
They maintain that they keep this as a secret, And this is interesting because of the secret we can be talking about a Guaraná Antarctica. That's one of a kind. All right. All right, here. So we have another one here for you. That is, in order to understand the core of your business segment, I'd really like you to tell us the kind of agricultural activities you've been working on.
Yeah, so our farm is about 5,000 acres. 3,500 acres of that is dry farm. 1,500 is irrigated with mostly pivots. We've got a few hand lines, whatever. But so we mostly grow, just barley, like malt barley, and a little bit of alfalfa that we just, put up and we haul to a local dairy here. We cut a lot of grain, barley, wheat, and then we bale that straw up and we take that to the same dairy that we take our hay to. So just a lot of, we have a couple balers. We do a lot of baling, probably close to 12,000 bales a year. And just a lot of, tillage, working the ground with discs and cultivators and chisel plows and air drills, that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, just all the logistics that go into maintaining that equipment. And, we're kind of spread out. It's probably in about a 10-mile radius, the farm.
I got it.
And it's kind of in
Nice.
3 to 4 different sections, 3 to 4 little farms in that 10-mile radius.
Interesting. So you've got the combine harvesters, a big
Yeah.
tractors, propellers, spray propellers, and all those stuff that is totally related to the farming activity. I mean, the heavy farming activity. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we run one case combine. We have one self-propelled sprayer, one drill, couple semis, and really what I'm after is, me and my dad, we are the owners of this. We're just partners. And so I'm after, in the past, I've been hiring just, local help, but it's hard to find good help and it's hard to get them to work the hours that we have to work sometimes. And so I've kind of gone the rounds with this, and I think I kind of want to jump into the H2A program. And I thought, if I'm going to do this, why not do it? Why not do it with people that I can actually communicate with? I can,
For sure.
my Portuguese isn't real good, but at least I can get my point across. And I guess that's one of my questions is how good is their English, when they come up here? If they speak as well as you do, it will be just fine, in English. But I guess I'm just curious. On one of the job applications, one of his resumes, it showed that he had passed some sort of English school, Marcelo's English school. So I guess I was curious about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. We're going to cover that matter later on. But when it comes to English, this is one interesting fact when it comes here to Brazil. I mean, people here do not have access to very good English learning process while in high school or the secondary school or things like that. But most of the workers that are going to apply for the job, they have already been taking some English courses and some English lessons for sure. And I don't know if it's that enough to be, let's say, holding and handling all the stuffs all around. But for sure, some of them are going to have enough to be dealing with the stuffs over there. We're going to cover that matter soon.
Yep.
Then I have one question here that's very interesting for people. What about the state of Idaho? What is the local weather like? Tell us a little bit about the local lifestyle as well.
Yeah, so the winters are cold. When the winter season is kind of from November through March, it's kind of chilly. We can get down into the negative 20 degree, and so they don't want to be here during the winter. But
For sure, yeah. But you can
but
get adapted to that, yeah.
the months they're here, from April through September, October, the highest we'll hit is maybe 100 degrees in like July, August.
I got it. It's good, yeah. It's all right.
April, May is, it can be in the 50s and rainy. But, summertime is really pleasant. June, July, August, September, those are 4 really pleasant months. Really good climate. We're up, our elevation, we're around 5,000 feet. And so it's not like it's really hot. It's not real windy because we have mountains right next to us. So the climate is actually, in the summertime, is actually fairly pleasant. The evenings can get pretty cool. We can get down in the 40s, which kind of cools off. And so that's kind of what the weather is like. Doesn't rain a lot during the summer, really.
Interesting.
Just mostly in the spring. So
nice.
And then,
yeah, all right.
What else you want to know about Idaho? But there's not a lot to do
Oh,
where
the
I live.
lifestyle, for instance. What can we do there at night, or just to stroll around and have some sightseeing, this kind of stuff?
Yeah, so the community I live in is only 350 people, small little town.
Yeah.
If they
community
have any kind of a nightlife, go to a restaurant or go to shopping to a store, you got to go at least 15-minute drive to another community. The largest town that's within 45 minutes of us is about maybe 70,000 people, and there's restaurants and stores and nightlife, that kind of stuff. But to get to those places, you have to drive. So our community is pretty dead. We have a small school, a small church, and a small gas station, and that's it, and a small bar, and that's about it. So
it's an agricultural area. That's totally
yeah, it is.
Right. Okay. And when it comes to this business segment of yours, do you consider that having foreign manpower can really make a difference? I mean, do you think this cultural and technical exchange is really worthwhile?
I guess I don't understand the question. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be, of course, hosting people from a total different culture. It's not a total different because we share some things together here. But I mean, this cultural exchange of people that are going to be working with you there on the farm, is that going to be very interesting for you? I mean, having foreign manpower with you, does that add up advantages for your business score?
yeah, yeah. So I was thinking of that the other day. I was thinking how it will add another element of, I guess, fun factor to it. Just having different backgrounds, different cultures, whatever. And even the language barrier provides a little bit of, you know, a
Sure,
little bit
yeah.
of,
This is one.
a
Go
little
on.
bit of
Harsh. Yeah.
interesting dynamic to it. Just not being able to clearly state what I need them to do or our expectations. It's going to provide a little bit of it'll provide an interesting dynamic. I'm fairly confident though with between their little bit of English and my little bit of
Sure.
Portuguese, we'll be able to get on the same page and be able to speak our minds clearly. But no, it'll be fun. I mean, they'll bring their culture of churrascaria and
Yeah, that's
want to,
right.
they're
You've
going to
been
want to
used
go
to that. I'm sure about it.
have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All foreigners that come to Brazil, churrasco or the
Yep.
barbecue, let's say like that, it is something
Yeah.
that they get fond of. All right.
Well,
Uh,
I think to that point as well, I think Brazilians, kind of what Marcelo was saying is I think Brazilians have they have a different demeanor about themselves than Americans. I think you guys are a happier people. I think you're probably more hardworking in a lot of ways, and so I think that element is gonna help as well. I mean, because a lot of times you'll ask Americans to do a certain job, and they'll look at you like, you just ask the world of
they
them.
refused. Yeah. They
Yeah.
refused.
So
Yeah.
I
I've
think
seen that.
that will be a good thing too. So.
Nice, excellent, very good. What is your current analysis towards the American agricultural economy? I mean, what has been the forecast to its profitability within the upcoming months and years regarding the challenges we have worldwide?
Yeah, so this year's been an interesting one. We um with the whole COVID stuff, availability of chemicals, so everything that we spray our crops with,
Mhm.
that was really sketchy. We had to line up a lot of that a year in advance, which we normally don't do. Fertilizer costs have doubled, so that's been a challenge. But
That's it.
equipment availability. If you want to go find a certain piece of equipment, that is hard to do. You go to a dealership and they have nothing on their lot. So
Interesting.
that's been a challenge. But on the flip side, commodity prices have doubled in the last year too, and so it kind of just goes hand in hand. It's all relative. It seems like fuel's doubled. All
Oh,
that's
yeah,
all
that's it.
that's gone up, but yet so has commodity prices. And so the only thing I worry about is the day when commodity prices go back to where they were and everything else stays the same. Then we could be in an interesting situation. But no, as for now, our farm this year has been more profitable than we've ever been. So it was a good year this year. Harvest was good. Hay prices were through the roof, as high as they've ever been, and so we're in a good situation right now. But you know how agriculture is. It's so up and down, and it could completely change by next year. So you just got to roll with it.
Yeah, you guys had some problems this year. I mean, early this year when it comes to natural disasters and things like that. And meanwhile, now we've been with the case of Florida, for instance.
Yeah.
And what I noticed when it comes to this regard is that you guys were affected deeply in some parts of the USA early this year. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a drought. The drought in California has been a huge problem. Water is a big topic right now. Water conservation, and for the first time ever, we had one of our pumps go dry at the end of
Oh,
last year because it was so
gosh.
dry. The aquifer kind of comes back if we get a good if we get a good winter with a lot of snow, that's important in our area because we do a lot of dry farm. You know, more than half of our farm is dry farm, and if you don't get a good snowpack, it affects your yields and affects your aquifer and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, so much of it is dependent upon so much stuff that you don't have control over. The weather.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know, it's just
international scenario, for instance, such as the one we've been living in, with the Ukraine stuff there, along with
the
Russia,
Ukraine
things.
That's drove prices up, and
that's it. Yeah, we've seen it in Brazil. You know, inflation has been soared up. You know.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's a lot of times what it takes for prices to go up is for there to be disasters and calamities. You know, in different worlds. So.
That's part of the business, yes. And another interesting point here is that as you already have had a Mexican workers, why did you decide to have a Brazilian workforce in your business up there?
Repeat the question.
Yeah, you have already had some Mexican workers there. I was told that. And why have you decided to have a Brazilian workers with you?
So I've never had Mexican workers. I've only had American.
Okay, yes, I understood.
Most of my neighbors, neighbors that farm, that's all people hire up here is Mexican workers. Nice. And so I thought, and that's the route I was going to go, but I thought, you know what? I'm the boss here. And if I want to have a say, I'm going to bring Brazilians up because I can speak Portuguese. I don't want to learn Spanish. I want to speak Portuguese.
Yes, yes. That would be a setback for sure. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
And regarding the H-2A agricultural visa, what are the benefits granted by the U.S. farmers to Brazilian workers? Can this visa be renovated before it expires during the contract duration, for example?
I don't know. I don't have an answer to that question. Kind of my strategy, what I'm doing, I've never done the H-2A program. This is all new to me.
All right, that's fair.
And so what I'm doing is I'm going through an organization called the Snake River Farmers Association. It's a company that helps farmers with all the paperwork and all the logistics, trying to bring your workers into the country. And so they're going to help me with all the forms, the papers, and the visas, you know, trying to get them up here. What I have to do is I have to supply them with 2 names of the people that I want to recruit and bring up here. And so they don't do any of the recruiting. And so that's kind of why I reached out to Marcelo, was for the recruiting aspect, because I don't know 2 Brazilians who want to come up and work. And so he's kind of doing that side. And yeah, just through this organization, hopefully they can help me get them up here. So.
I got it. Yeah, it's a natural assessment that he's going to get it through. Is that true that you can hire the same employee every year along some period or within the next 20 years or even longer with no limit?
Yeah, that's true. And that's really what I'm pushing for, because it is a huge cost and a huge time investment in employees. You know, when you bring them up here and any employee, you know, my last employee, he just had to go part-time, so I had to let him go because I need a full, you know, basically full-time guys during harvest and all that kind of stuff. And I spent 2 years training him, and then he leaves. It's just like, it's hard to retrain and get them all familiar with the equipment again, all that kind of stuff. So
Senna said that you invested your money on, and then you lost.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really hoping to find 2 guys that work really well, that enjoy being here, so I can bring them back. I mean, I was talking to one of my friends, and he's had Mexicans for the last 30 years on his farm, and he says some of these guys know my farm better than I do. You know, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for, is a long-term relationship. Somebody that will come up here for the next 20 years and work this farm.
That would be awesome for you, of course. And for both.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for, if I can find the right 2 guys.
Sure, nice, okay. Yeah, you have read it, totally here. And when it comes to personality and skills, what do you expect from these Brazilian workers? Mainly towards personality and technical skills.
So personality, I mean, I like people that have a sense of humor, you know, that don't take life too seriously, I guess, because, you know, sometimes we work long hours. We can work 17, 18 hours a day sometimes during harvest, and that can wear on you. It can be a grind. that doesn't last for much longer than a month. September is a difficult month. That's a month we put in a lot of time and a lot of hours. But if the employee is happy, has a fun personality, is willing to learn whatever job we place before them, not shut things down like, oh, I don't do that, I don't do this, but is open to learning new things, because there's going to be new things they'll have to learn. Open to learning technology on equipment. We have GPS and some technical stuff.
Artificial intelligence has been applied nowadays. I've been
Yeah.
seeing John Deere course, for instance, and something incredible.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was getting another call there.
Are you there? Oh,
yeah, I'm here. I was just getting a phone call. I sent them to voicemail. So
okay, that's nice. All right.
But yeah, just having a good attitude, hardworking, not a problem putting in the hours, and being willing to learn new things, and it's just important, I guess, for us for them to just be hardworking. We take our business pretty serious. It's our livelihood, and so we
sure, yeah. And
we
it's
really
a lifestyle as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we really take it serious. And and if these employees are willing to do what we ask them to do, the jobs we ask them to do, and work hard and have fun at it, I'm willing to compensate them really
nice.
well. Bonuses, I'm fine with them, using our pickups to go places and that kind of stuff. I just, just be themselves. I just want them to be themselves, but be willing to work hard.
Okay, nice. And when it comes to the English language, what English level is it really necessary to get the job done?
That's a good question, because I've never had a foreign worker. A lot of my vocabulary in Portuguese has to do with religion. I can talk religion all day long because that's what I did.
Sure.
But I haven't talked farming with Brazilians really, and so there's going to be words that I'm not going to know, but I can pick up on. And my dad doesn't speak a lick of Portuguese. He's not going to understand any Portuguese, and so I think to some extent it would be nice to have them be able to speak some English so they can communicate with him. If he calls them and needs them to do something, that would be nice. But again, I don't think it's. I do want. I guess here's where I'm coming from. When I went to Brazil, it was an expectation for me to learn Portuguese. I didn't expect people to learn English when I went to Brazil, right?
That's it.
And so if they're coming to my country, I kind of expect them to continue to learn English.
Of course, you expect a cultural immersion of them.
Yeah.
Totally understand that.
But on the flip side, I will speak some Portuguese with them just so I can stay up on Portuguese too. So,
and that will help.
I think it's a two-way street. I think they need to learn English, and I'd like to learn Portuguese. My dad's probably not going to learn Portuguese though.
Oh yeah, of course not. Yeah, that's not from his side. All right. And if you were to talk about the Brazilian's personality, let's suppose that you're going to talk to a U.S. farmer, a friend of yours, a partner of yours. What would you say about the Brazilian's personality to a U.S. farmer, to a fellow citizen of yours?
Yeah, the Brazilian people that I know were, and I worked closely with Brazilians. In fact, I lived with Brazilians. We had what we called companions, and I would live with just a Brazilian for 3 months at a time, and that's all we do is speak Portuguese, And the guys I really enjoyed being around were hardworking. Some of my favorites, there was a Vinicius Ferreira, there was a Marcio Lima. Those were, one of them was from, let's see, where is that? Espírito Santo. One was from, God, where's that at? Goiânia. Goiás.
All right, Goiás, from Goiás, yes.
Yep.
Goiânia is the capital of the state of Goiás. Yeah, that's right.
And
nice.
He was probably my favorite, the Vinicius Ferreira from Goiás. But he was super hardworking, always had a smile on his face. And it's the Brazilian people. They're just a happy people. They can be in the poorest and crappiest situation, and they can. It's just like you. You have permanent smile on your face, you know, and that's just
Thank you.
that's how we are. And so, I mean, not to say that's who I have to have up here, but that's kind of how I describe Brazilians: hardworking. And I know Brazilians have a lot of background in agriculture. That's a huge agriculture farming country, and so that was one of my draws too. I thought, you know, there's going to be some people that know agriculture there, so probably more so
your natural competitors.
Yeah, exactly, more so than Mexico. So
yeah, sure. All right. And when it comes to living in the USA, I mean, there are many Brazilians that wish they could bring their family together, you know, with them to the US. What would be your advice to them? I mean, is that possible for people that wants to work in the USA to bring their family, their wife, kids, and whatsoever to the USA?
And so that I don't know as far as the H-2A program goes. I don't know what their requirement is, I mean, honestly, I'm a family man. I have a wife and 7 kids. You know, we have a big family, and I know that's a challenge. You know, I try to picture myself leaving my family for 6 months to go work, and that would be hard, you know, to leave your kids.
Sure.
And so ultimately, I mean, I have no problem with that. I mean, that's what I would prefer as a worker, but logistically, I'm not sure how the H-2A program, you know, approaches that subject. I'm not real familiar with it, but in my screening,
but you wouldn't have no hassle with that.
No. I have one house for the workers. It's a pretty nice home.
Great.
Compared to what most of my friends put Mexicans up in, this is a nice home. And so I guess the only problem is if you had 2 workers and they brought their wife and their kids, I don't know logistically how I would do that. But I have no problem, with bringing families up for those reasons. But
but as you told previously, you know, we Brazilians, we can get by with everything, you know, so we get adapted, you know, and this wouldn't be a great hassle. I believe that, you know. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is interesting to know because
Brazilians... and that's one thing I've kind of used to screen my candidates with is, do they have a wife? Do they have kids? Because I think when you have a wife and kids, there's more on the line.
Sure.
They're taking this more serious than they would if they were just 25 years old and single, and you know they've got a family to provide for, and so they're probably a little more stable, a little more mature. So
yeah, and as you have said that, and talking to myself specifically, I think I don't think I think this is almost sure that this was one of the reasons I got my American visa refused. You know, just take a look at me. I'm a 44-year-old guy. I don't have any kids. I don't have any family. My parents have already passed away. I don't have any brothers and sisters. So I am the perfect profile of person that is going to the USA and will not return to Brazil, you know? And 214B, the code of my refusal, you know? So it's exactly that. It states that, you know?
Yeah.
Technically, I would be perfect for the job, but on the other hand, for the American consulate, I've got these setbacks. Let's put it this way. You know?
Yeah.
That's the point. Okay. When it comes to the MTV Brazil agency, and I'm talking about Mr. Marcelo Toledo, of course, do you consider that your requirements and necessities have been and will be accomplished? What would you expect? What would you say?
Rephrase the question. Say that again.
Yeah. When it comes to MTV Brazil agency, what do you expect? What are the requirements you expect them to fulfill? And I mean also Mr. Marcelo Toledo, what would be your recommendation?
Sure.
Whatever.
Yeah. So, when I found out that I had to come up with 2 job candidates, you know, recruit 2 people, I felt like, holy cow, how am I going to do this? I don't really have that many contacts down there, especially not in the agriculture, you know, job boards, that kind of stuff. And so I just got online, Googled Brazil H-2A recruit type thing. And he was the first one that popped up, and it looked legit. So I called that, and so no, I mean, as far as my expectations, I mean, you guys have exceeded those up to this point. I've had 5 candidates reach out through WhatsApp already. 2 of those I would probably hire right now if things were all in a row and ready to go. I've been impressed with some of those guys, and so no, I think my expectations have been exceeded. I mean, I think he's done a great job. I have no complaints really. I guess going forward is just kind of what we're doing now, just some good open conversations with, hey, this is kind of what I want, this is what I need, and you guys are fulfilling that. And I guess just open communication going forward as I have questions and needs, as long as I can get a hold of someone and say, this is going on, what do I do now, that kind of stuff. So
excellent, very good. It's good to hear that. And now we're coming to the end of this conversation of ours here. I'd like to eventually, could you tell a short message for the Brazilian workers in Portuguese, please, so you can have the opportunity to be speaking now your Portuguese, that I know that's interesting.
Okay. E aí, caras?
Nice, that's it.
Eu estou muito animado para te conhecer. Eu não falo português muito bem. Eu vivi em Brasil 20 anos atrás.
Hello.
E estou muito animado. Nós necessitamos 2 trabalhadores bons que vão fazer trabalho muito bem aqui. Temos muitas tarefas diferentes em nossa fazenda. Eu posso dizer que vocês vão gostar deste trabalho. É muito divertido às vezes. Eu sou um homem que tem 7 filhos e nós amamos nossas vidas aqui. Eu amo Idaho, eu amo os Estados Unidos, eu também amo o Brasil. Eu tenho muito saudades de São Paulo e lugares lá, mas estou muito ansioso para te conhecer e para trabalhar juntos com vocês e aprender um pouco mais de português com palavras que tem a ver com sendo um fazendeiro.
Excellent, muito bom, parabéns, meu amigo. Você já é um brasileiro, com certeza. You're Brazilian, ready, very good, awesome, man. We have come to the end of this interview, and I would rather like to thank you for your willingness and availability to be talking to us here. You know, it was amazing. I had the opportunity to be talking to you and learning things. You know, through this time we've been here together, I learned interesting things about the U.S. culture from inside out. It's very nice. Your words were very nice and kind to Brazil as well. So I hope you have a great day up there with your family, with your lovely family. And thank you very much. And I'm sure we are going to continue talking, you know, because from now on, we are friends. We are more than just partners here.
Awesome.
All right.
Sounds great. Thanks for the call, Eliseo.
Oh, it was my pleasure, man. Thank you very much. Have a nice day there.
Yeah,
Thank you. Bye-bye to your family there. See you, man. Bye-bye. Thank you.